Hello students, title of today's lecture is Carrier Concentration Measurement in Semiconductors using Capacitance Voltage Methods. In the previous lecture, I discussed a differential capacitance method to find out carrier concentration in case of semiconductors, and in today's lecture, I am going to discuss a minimum maximum, or you can say maximum minimum capacitance method. So in this method, we plot CV characteristics of a MOS device, and from that CV characteristics we find out the maximum value of capacitance and minimum value of capacitance. So these two capacitances are sufficient enough to give us some information about the carriers present into the semiconductor. So you are already familiar that why we are doing this kind of measurement, because inside the semiconductor, in order to control its conductivity, we do doping. For example, here in this slide you can see aluminum doping is done. So this aluminum is a dopant here, and this dopant is introducing a carrier. So in present case, this aluminum dopant is introducing a free hole, and we have to find out carrier density in the semiconductors, and there are many methods. If we talk about electrical method, so there is a capacitance voltage variation method and current voltage method. So today's lecture also is focused on the same thing, capacitance voltage measurement technique. But today we are going to discuss minimum capacitance and maximum capacitance method, or you can say maximum minimum capacitance method. So there are other methods also for finding out doping density measurement, but these methods will be discussed in some other lectures. So today we are going to focus on this capacitance voltage method itself, but a variation of this method, that means maximum minimum capacitance we have to find out, and from that data we will find out the carrier concentration. Now before going further, we have to understand what is the behavior of capacitance voltage curve, or how the capacitance of a MOS device changes when we apply a voltage on the gate terminal of the MOS device. So you know that the MOS structure is something like this. So we have a semiconductor here. So in the present case, I have considered that this semiconductor is a p-type semiconductor. On the top of this semiconductor there is a oxide layer. This green color is a oxide layer, and over this green color there is this dark black color layer. This is metal. So it is a metal oxide semiconductor structure, and on the gate we have applied gate voltage, and the substrate is, you can see, it's grounded, or whatever voltage you are applying to this device, that voltage is with respect to the substrate terminal. Now when we change this gate voltage, many changes occurs into the semiconductor, and those changes will decide how much is the conductivity here in the semiconductor. So if you want to understand these things, so you should know these three different situations. So you are already familiar with the basic MOS theory, and you know that when you change gate voltage, there is accumulation possibility, there is a depletion possibility, and there is inversion possibility within the semiconductor near the interface. But today, since we are going to use this data to find out the carrier concentration, so it will be better to review all those concepts in the beginning, so that once we see the data there is no confusion, and we know clearly that what kind of data we will have in the beginning, and what kind of calculation we will do to find out the desired information, means carrier concentration. So anyway, so first we will review all the basic concepts here. So you know that if it is a p-type semiconductor, and when you are applying this gate voltage here, and if this gate voltage is less than flat band voltage, in that case we are in the accumulation region. You can see here this is a p-type substrate, and we are applying, suppose there is some negative voltage which we are applying here, because this gate voltage is less than flat band voltage. Now let us assume in the beginning that it is negative. So this negative voltage, if we apply here, gate terminal will have negative charge, which is indicated here with the negative sign, and corresponding to this negative charge here on the gate, there will be equal and opposite charge in the semiconductor. And how this charge is created? The free holes which are present into the p-type material, all these free holes will be attracted towards this side, because here on the gate we are applying negative charge. So this negative charge or negative potential will attract all the holes which are present in the semiconductor. These holes will be attracted towards the interface. You can see here positive charge will accumulate, but remember this positive charge is because of free carriers. So that's why this particular situation is called accumulation situation. Now if we keep on increasing this gate voltage, so in the beginning we were assuming that it is negative or maybe less than flat band voltage, but now let's assume that this gate voltage is more than flat band voltage. So this kind of situation, but this gate voltage is still less than threshold voltage, because once we cross the threshold voltage, then the conduction in the device starts. We all know this theory, but here we are considering that this gate voltage is still less than threshold voltage, but definitely it is more than flat band voltage. So in this particular situation what happens? So this voltage is in the positive direction, means the sign of this voltage is positive. So what happens actually? So this positive voltage will produce some positive charge here in the semiconductor on the metal side, and because of this there is a negative charge created into the semiconductor. Now why it is happening? Because this positive charge here, that positive charge will repel holes away from the interface. So the holes which are present here, free holes, they will be repelled towards the interior part of the semiconductor, and what is left behind is a depletion region. This is almost similar kind of situation which we discussed in the last lecture. Only difference was that there we were considering a Schottky device. Schottky device means metal is deposited directly on the semiconductor, but in the present case we are depositing metal over the oxide layer. So there is semiconductor, then oxide, and then there is a metal. So this is MOS device, but in this structure also, so if you are applying positive voltage here, that positive voltage will create similar kind of effect, means a depletion region will be created in this portion. So this biasing condition is known as a depletion region. Now if still we keep on increasing this gate voltage in the positive direction, and this gate voltage becomes more than threshold voltage. Now you can see this gate voltage is more than threshold voltage. In that case what happens? Free carriers are also generated here. So I am sure you all know about all these phenomena because you are familiar with the MOSFET theory. Now this particular biasing condition is known as inversion, because free electrons are also present here. There was a negative charge here also in this portion when the device was in the depletion mode, but this negative charge was because of immobile ions, but here the immobile ions plus free electrons both are present, and both are contributing to the negative charge in this region. So whatever positive charge is there on the gate side, so that charge on the semiconductor side is also equal in magnitude, but it is opposite in sign, right? And you should also remember that once inversion starts here in the semiconductor side, there is no further or no significant change in the width of this depletion region. So when we were here in the depletion region, the width was dependent on the gate voltage. As we were increasing gate voltage, width of depletion region was increasing. But once the inversion starts, means once the free carrier generation starts here, so we are getting some extra electrons here. So whatever charge is there on the gate, that charge will be balanced by these free electrons. So there is no need on the part of depletion region to increase its thickness, because immobile ions are not compensating this positive charge. This positive charge on the gate side will be compensated by the free electrons which are generating here, because this is inversion region. So inverted carriers means they p-type holes, and instead of p-type holes, opposite kind inverted charge is produced here. So now after having this much understanding that for a proper biasing condition we have depletion region here in the semiconductor, now we can move to the next concept about the capacitive effects which are present into the device. So there are two type of capacitance which are present here, and both these are coming into series. one capacitance is the oxide capacitance. This oxide layer is introducing some capacitance here, and the value of this capacitance is given by this equation, and this depletion region that is also contributing some capacitance, and this capacitance is coming here, and this capacitance is named as CS. S means semiconductor capacitance. This capacitance is within the semiconductor and it is in the form of depletion region, and value of this capacitance is given by this formula. So the K is constant, dielectric constant of semiconductor, epsilon naught you already know, A is area of cross section of the device, and W is width of this depletion region, right. So the two capacitances, if they come into series, what happens, you know, the net capacitance decreases. You know that when two resistances come into series, net resistance will be more, right, but when two capacitors come into series, net capacitance decreases. So now you know that and the net capacitance behavior is given something like this. So here what we have done, we have plotted this net capacitance C as a function of gate voltage, and the formula for this net capacitance will be something like this. You know that two capacitors, if they are connected in series, this is oxide capacitance, this is semiconductor capacitance. If they are in series, net capacitance will be given by this formula. So you can see that when we are changing gate voltage, the device is changing from accumulation to depletion to inversion. So, and in all these situations, the capacitances which are present here, the capacitance inside the semiconductor, that is changing. It means the net capacitance is also changing. So that situation is plotted here. So when you are changing gate voltage, so net capacitance is changing. On the y axis it is net capacitance, but here you see this is C over C ox, means the final capacitance is divided by the oxide capacitance. So when you are applying, you can see here, when you are applying this negative voltage here, you are somewhere here in the accumulation region. So from starting from this portion to almost this region, right, up to almost here, you are in the accumulation region, right, and when this gate voltage is increasing towards the positive side, depletion region formation starts. This depletion region starts here, and then from here to here, almost from here to here, you are in this portion. So all this is your depletion region, right, this is depletion region. So you see here in the depletion region, net capacitance is decreasing because this additional capacitance which is coming here in the depletion region, this additional capacitance is decreasing because this width of this depletion region is increasing, and if width of the depletion region is increasing, semiconductor capacitance is decreasing. So this second component of capacitance, if it is decreasing, so it means the net capacitance will also decrease. If CS decreases, net capacitance will decrease, and you can see what is happening here. And this decrease in the capacitance will continue as long as width of the depletion region is increasing. But once you enter into inversion region, so the width becomes almost stable, I told you, and since it becomes almost stable, this capacitance stabilizes and there is no further increase in C, and the C becomes almost stable here, right. So from here to here, this portion is, so I should choose a different color, maybe red color, green color, yes. So this portion somewhere from here to here, right, from here to here, this all this portion almost here, so this portion, all this is inversion, right, and all here to here, this much was depletion region, this is depletion, and all this is your accumulation. So this is accumulation, this is depletion, and this third portion, this is inversion region. Now within the inversion region also, you can see that the capacitance have multiple behavior. So the capacitance can increase like this, or it can stabilize here. So normally we expect that this capacitance will stabilize because the thickness of this depletion region doesn't change much. But depending on the frequency of AC signal. So it is not indicated here, only the DC signal, only one signal is shown here, but just like the Schottky behavior, Schottky structure, so one AC component is also superimposed on this. So there is a AC component also here, and this AC component frequency decides what happens in the inversion region. If the frequency of this AC signal is very high, in that case it will stabilize. This capacitance will stabilize like this. So this is the case for high frequency. You can see here the CHF, this is high frequency, because this AC signal is changing so rapidly that the free carrier generation here is not possible, right? So the depletion region will stay here. So this capacitance will stay here. But if the frequency of this AC signal is low, if low frequency signal is applied, in that case this capacitance will increase, because low frequency signal means this AC signal is changing very slowly, and since it is changing slowly, there is enough time for carriers to generate into depletion region. And if free carriers are generating here, then what will happen? Depletion region will no longer remain depletion region, and in that case this capacitance will increase further into depletion region. So if low frequency signal is superimposed on this DC signal, then we have curve like this, it goes up like here. But if high frequency signal is there, then the curve stabilizes here. So anyway, you have to understand only one thing, that when we change the gate voltage on case of a semiconductor, or in case of most structure, capacitance changes like this. First it is in accumulation region, then it enters into depletion region. When it is in depletion region, capacitance decreases like this, and once we enter into depletion region, once we enter into the inversion region, the capacitance stabilizes, provided the frequency of signal is varied, and in most of the cases it happens. So the maximum capacitance is here when the device is in accumulation region, you can see, and minimum capacitance is when the device here is in the inversion region, right? So you have to read only the maximum capacitance and minimum capacitance. Only these two capacitance values can give you information about the carrier concentration. So we will see in the coming slides. But here you see what I have reproduced. This is similar kind of pattern, but it is inverted, or it's lateral inversion is there. So why? Because this is for the case of n-type substrate, and this graph was for the p-type substrate. So if we work with the n-type substrate, graph will be like this, because everything will change here. So we will get accumulation in case of, this is accumulation here. So the accumulation will be observed in case of positive voltage, and inversion will be observed in case of negative voltage. But if you have p-type substrate, in that case accumulation is in case of negative voltage, inversion is in case of positive voltage. So once you understand all this MOSFET capacitance voltage behavior, you are almost ready to understand what information or what data we are having with us, and how we can use that data to find out the carrier concentration. Right, now we will see. So all these things are reproduced here again. So this graph, you already have seen that how the capacitance changes as a function of voltage. This is the maximum capacitance we get, and here this capacitance, this is the you can say it's a minimum capacitance. This is our C minimum, right, and this is our C maximum. So only these two, this I am mentioning as CMX. See, this is the maximum capacitance and this is the minimum capacitance. This formula you already know that how we got this formula, because these two capacitances, oxide capacitance and semiconductor capacitance, they are in series, and that's why the net capacitance is given by this formula, and the formula for this semiconductor capacitance is given by this. So these formulas you have seen in the earlier slide. Now here what we have to measure, if we want to use this data for finding out carrier concentration, we have to measure only these two things. First we have to plot this type of graph. In case of MOS, means we have to change the gate voltage, and when we change this gate voltage, as a function of this gate voltage we have to measure capacitance, and we have to plot that data. Data will be something like this. We will have maximum value, so the maximum accumulation capacitance that we have to measure, and then minimum capacitance that we have to measure. Minimum capacitance that should be in the inversion region. So this, you know, this is the inversion region. All this is inversion region, right? So whatever is happening here on the positive voltage side, that is inversion region. So this is also inversion and this is also inversion. So the difference in these two is only in terms of frequency of signal. If frequency of signal is high, then we get this CM, and if frequency of the signal is low, then the capacitance will be almost equal to accumulation. But in most of the cases, the frequency of signal is high, so this is your minimum capacitance. Minimum capacitance comes here. Now, once you have this much information, now you are ready to find out the required information or ready to do the calculation to find out the carrier concentration. So, how we will do it? Now, I will show you. Now, I hope and I am sure that you are familiar with this kind of equation. So, what this equation says? This equation says that the width of depletion region in case of inversion is given by this formula. So, this formula is the basic formula. You are aware with it when you studied the p-n junction theory. So, p-n junction theory in the depletion region which forms there, the depletion region width is given by this kind of formula. And you, for this formula you already have seen also when you were studying the Morse theory. So, you see this width of depletion region in case of inversion biasing condition is given by this. This is the dielectric constant of semiconductor epsilon naught, and this is the surface potential. And you already know, I hope you know that when we talk about inversion region, at that time the surface potential is equal to, is actually 2 times the Fermi potential. So, this equation you have studied in the first semester when you studied the basic MOSFET theory. So, since we are talking about inversion, so this surface potential will be equal to 2 times Fermi potential. So, the equation of this W, inversion layer width, or you can say the depletion region width, in case of Fermi potential, 2 times Fermi potential, means when we are in inversion region, then the width of this depletion region in the semiconductor will be given by this equation. So, what we have done? We just replaced this surface potential by this part, 2 times Fermi potential. So, now with the help of this equation and this equation, these two equations you have to use. Now, suppose this is your first equation, important equation, and this is your second important equation. With the help of these two equations, what you have to do? You have to find out NA, and that is our purpose. So, from here you can see NA you have to find out. How you can do it? See, from this equation you put value of CS here. So, once you enter the CS here in this equation, here you have C, total capacitance, oxide capacitance, and W is also there. Now, from here you can find, you can take out W and you put this W here, right? And then you solve this equation again and you take out N. So, whatever you get finally, that is mentioned here. So, NA will be given by these parameters. So, the equation of NA will be from here to here. This is the equation of N. So, you see here all these parameters are present here. Phi f Fermi potential is there, Q is there, Ks dielectric constant of semiconductor is there, epsilon naught is there, A area square is there. This A came from this side, A is here, and there are these parameters. Now the C2 pi phi f is there, and C ox is there. C ox is your maximum capacitance, because the highest capacitance here is named as oxide capacitance. This capacitance which is plotted here on the y axis, that is normalized capacitance, because this capacitance is divided by oxide capacitance. So, if we say that the C by C ox is 1, it means here the C is equal to C ox, because C ox is your maximum capacitance. So, this C ox is your maximum capacitance, and the minimum capacitance. So, actually we are talking about the inversion region, And when we talk about inversion region, the maximum width of depletion region at that time, the capacitance is somewhere here. This capacitance is marked by this C2 times Fermi potential. This blue line, blue dot you can see. This is the you can say it's the capacitance at when the device starts entering into the inversion region. So this is almost the beginning of the inversion region. Now you will say that if we have this plot here, from this plot it is easy to find out this maximum capacitance, or you can say oxide capacitance, but it will be very difficult to locate this potential, this capacitance, sorry, this capacitance which is at 2 times Fermi potential. It will be very difficult to locate. So that's why most of the time what we do, instead of finding out this capacitance, we go directly to see its minimum value of capacitance. The CHF is minimum capacitance, and you see here this capacitance is sometimes also known as inversion capacitance. The same capacitance, the CHF, this capacitance sometimes, so I am writing here it with another name, this capacitance is inversion capacitance. I am writing here IN, right? This is inversion capacitance. So instead of mentioning here C2 times Fermi potential, this potential, the capacitance at this potential, Fermi potential. So we just use this term, that inversion capacitance, because it is more easy to locate here on this graph, right? Now some of you may ask me, this CDD is also given here. You see, depending upon your signal and depending upon your measurement, here you see you are getting 3 graphs, but depending on your setup and depending on your parameters, you will get only 1 graph out of these 3. Most of the time you will get only this graph where I am indicating this is inversion capacitance, CHF. If you are getting this, you will not get this. You will not get this CLF, right? And you will not get CD, right? So here the 3 combinations are summarized. That's why you are getting these 3 possibilities in the inversion region. Otherwise, you get only one, this inversion capacitance. Anyway, so I hope that now you have the sufficient information and the equation which you can use to find out Na, the acceptor type doping impurity present into the semiconductor, either using this equation, either means using this component or by using this component, right? So there are 2 possibilities, but most of the time we prefer this second block. This block is mostly preferred because it is very easy to get C inversion capacitance that we can easily locate in the graph, and C aux also we can easily locate. The C aux is your maximum capacitance and the C inversion is your minimum capacitance. You will rarely get this CDD, right? And if your signal frequency is sufficiently high, you will not get this also, right? You will get only this. So you have to do measurement in such a way that the frequency of your signal is very high during the measurement. Just in the next slide we will summarize it again. So the data which you get when you do this capacitance voltage variation study in case of MOS structure, and from this data you have to find this C inversion, which is your minimum capacitance. This is your C inversion, and this is your C aux. You can say maximum capacitance is your oxide capacitance, because maximum capacitance occurs in the case when only oxide layer is contributing and inversion layer has not formed. So this is the maximum capacitance, and this is the equation. So all these parameters, if we talk about these parameters, all these are constant for a given semiconductor. Only the parameter which you have to get from this graph is this minimum capacitance, and this is your maximum capacitance. Maximum capacitance, and this is C inversion is your minimum capacitance. So the parameters which are indicated here in the graph, they are explained in these lines. The CLF, if you talk about the CLF, this is low frequency capacitance. I told you that this graph, this is your low frequency. this part I'm talking. And this low frequency capacitance occurs when the measurement frequency is small enough, and it happens when normally if we are talking about silicon material, then if the frequency of signal is about 100 kilohertz or less, we get this curve like 100 kilohertz. If you talk about frequency, I'm talking about frequency 100 kilohertz. And if this frequency is there, in that case the carriers can respond to the stimulus. Stimulus is the external signal which we are applying on the gate, that AC signal. So if the frequency of that signal is very high, I told you in the beginning also, then the carriers can respond to the stimulus. Means when signal is changing, the capacitance will change, and we will be able to measure this capacitance. And the high frequency, what is this high frequency? The high frequency capacitance where the carriers cannot respond to the stimulus. The high frequency is very fastly changing signal, and the carriers do not have sufficient time to respond to it. And this corresponding to that high frequency, we get this curve. This is C inverse, and this is high frequency component. And when we talk about high frequency, in case of silicon material, this high frequency is anything nearly 1 megahertz and more than 1 megahertz. So most of the time your low frequency is 100 kilohertz and high frequency is 1 megahertz. So all this information which I am talking about, this capacitance behavior, about the impact of signal frequency on the capacitance voltage graph, all these things are part of your basic MOS theory which you have studied in the earlier classes also. But today I was repeating all these things so that all the concepts become fresh in your mind, and you can apply those concepts to get clear understanding about the maximum and minimum capacitance values, and how we can use these values, maximum and minimum capacitance values, to find out the carrier concentration. But I'm sure that for those who understand the capacitive behavior of MOS devices very well, for them there is not much new information in this lecture. The only thing is the last one slide where I was explaining that what is the equation where we can put this maximum and minimum capacitance values to find out the carrier concentration or the dopant concentration. And this equation is reproduced. And the CDD, I was telling, the CDD is depletion, deep depletion. So when bias sweep rate is faster than generation rate. So if the sweep rate, the voltage sweep which we are applying to gate, if that sweep is very fast, then sometime it happens that we go to this CDD, this somewhere in this part, right? But we will avoid that situation to happen, and that will not occur if we are keeping this sweep at slow rate, right? So now the topic, I think it's over from my side. The equation you know, and you have seen that in this equation all these things, all this part is the parameters are constant values, and only the inversion, this lowest capacitance and C aux, which is the maximum capacitance, these two values you have to check from this graph, and those values you have to put here in this equation, and you get the dopant concentration. And remember, when I am saying dopant concentration, the dopant concentration can also be almost equal to the free carrier concentration, as we discussed in the last lecture, but it happens in special cases in a particular situation when the doping in the semiconductor is uniform doping, right? Today we have finished the discussion on the capacitance voltage methods to find out the carrier concentration or the dopant concentration. In the next lecture, we are going to use current voltage measurement data. This measurement will also be performed on the MOSFET devices, and you will see that from that IV data or current voltage data also it is possible to find out the carrier concentration or dopant concentration. So that we are going to discuss in the next lecture. Till then, bye bye.